Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to The Pursuit. Welcome back to another episode. So thank you for joining us. For those watching for the first time or coming back, this is a show about faith, ambition, and the journey of Christian entrepreneurs, leaders, creatives, artists, and really anyone chasing their passions in the heart of New York City. Here we dive into the stories of these dreamers and doers who are building, creating, and thriving, all while staying true to their purpose. Whether you're an artist, an innovator, or an entrepreneur, this is the place where faith meets action and we get to see it unfold. And so today we're sitting down here with my good friend, longtime friend, Henry Zhu, who is a coder and has an extensive background in programming. He was the lead maintainer of Babel, yes, the Babel, a community-funded compiler for JavaScript for a number of years, and he also previously worked at Adobe as a software engineer. He currently works on multiple coding projects that intersect with his Christian faith and values, as well as his personal interests, and also hosts a podcast called Hope in Source. And he's also my roommate and longtime friend. We've lived together for a number of years, and he is just an all-around awesome human being. And I'm just excited to do this particular episode with him today, just as friends, chatting, sitting around, and just, catching up, and just doing what we always do, really, as roommates and as friends. But for those watching today, we hope that you'll get something out of this conversation. We're going to cover a lot of topics, including faith, tech, coding, programming, podcasting, writing apps, and that whole journey. So thanks, Henry, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Carlin.
Let's we're going to talk about your journey, some of your challenges, get your insights on things, and ultimately what drives you. So let's get into it. Yeah, so first, I want to just always do like a quick background intro of every guest that comes on here, just so the audience can get to know you just a little bit more personally. So could you share with us, take us back a little bit and tell us about your background, your childhood, and then your journey. Jump right into your journey with programming and what drew you to open source development.
Yeah. So I grew up in Atlanta area, and I will say my parents both did programming, though maybe that says a lot, but then they didn't really want me to pursue that. Mostly because I guess it does tie into my faith journey in a way. Like part of my testimony is kind of just dealing with health problems growing up, and that kind of led me to like look for answers or solution or hope. And so they thought that if I was just sitting there all day coding, then it wouldn't be like good for my back. But
they're very realistic about like physical aspects of it.
Yeah, and back then a lot of people that got into, at least for them, when they got into coding, it wasn't because it was like cool or anything, it was just a job. And so my interest in it was initially through like Flash games and stuff like that, back in the day.
Oh yeah. I remember those.
Yeah.
Gang Wars or Mobs.
The games and also the animations and stuff. So there's like an art component as well. And playing video games. So I think that led me to want to get into it. And I think looking back, I liked the fact that you just need a computer and you can kind of make whatever. You don't need like all these materials essentially to do like something more physical. So I kind of just went for that anyway. And yeah, I think that's my initial interest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then kind of jumping right into your coding career, what were some key moments or turning points in your career that shaped your path? Like take us through maybe that first job at Adobe, and then like moving on to other things.
Yeah.
Like what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I would go, speaking of Flash, I would actually go back to that first. Is like I had a friend that was really good at using Flash. He made like it was just like an earthquake simulator, it was for like a science class, and I thought it was really cool explaining how things worked. And it was just like interesting that we could simulate or explain things through visual, like the art
Hmm.
of that. And then later, I um yeah, I guess I did take some classes in high school, and then I decided to, funnily enough, I decided to study engineering instead of computer science. Like you would have thought I would have studied computer
Mm.
science or I have a degree in CS, but I I just I guess I realized how much I hate school, and I was like, well, I'm already learning this by myself, so I might as well, if I'm going to go to school, I might as well learn something I wasn't planning on studying like on my own, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
okay.
So I yeah, just chose to do industrial engineering, and then
Industrial. Okay.
figured that I would just learn coding on the side, and that way it's like, like I'm kind of forced to go to school, then I'm like, okay, I'll do
Yeah.
something else. But then turns out I hate school, so good thing. I kind of joke sometimes. I'm like, if I studied CS, I would have hated that or something.
Mm. So it's like
Yeah.
you prevented yourself from preemptively hating the thing that you eventually would go into.
Yeah, I mean, kind
Yeah.
of tongue in cheek, or I don't know if that's actually
Yeah.
true, but
Yeah.
it's just like a funny thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think later, try to get a first job, try to move to California because that's where, at the time, where everyone was going. Like, I don't think I would necessarily want to go there now, but that was just like the startup mentality.
Yeah.
And then I think about like going back to health again. I'm really glad that didn't really happen. I don't know, like the stress of that and the environment. And so I kind of just got a random job, and then someone there introduced me, his name's Jonathan, to open source. Like I just didn't really know about the concept, but then when I heard, I was like, oh, people give away code for free. It's just that in itself is appealing to me. And I don't know if it's just like I want to help people, like we all want to figure out how to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that created an interest that led to, long story short, getting a email from this guy Joel, and then that worked at Adobe, which had ended up moving here to New York in the first place. It's basically kind of got a job through doing open source on the side, and then they're
Oh.
like, "Hey, do you want to move to New York?" I was like, "I don't know anything about New York, but if I get to do open source, then sure." Because I just, that was it. There was a very
Yeah.
simple thought. It wasn't like anything more to it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Nice. Just go on a leap of faith, essentially, right?
yeah.
So you come to New York. You're working for Adobe for a number of years. What happens after that?
Yeah.
Give us the where does the story continue for
Yeah.
you in
Um,
coding?
so actually I meet someone at work who um I guess brings me to like the church I go to. That's how I meet you and a bunch of people.
Mhm.
And then I think what happened really is I got more and more involved in open source software, just naturally. Like it's like you have this like inkling of an idea, like and you're just like it's funny. It's the pursuit. So it's like I'm just pursuing. I don't even know what I'm pursuing, but
Nice.
the idea of open source,
Yeah.
whatever that means to me, and that's changed over time. And then also like, what does it mean to like serve in any kind of like church environment, or you could say the same as like nonprofit. It's like volunteering, and then I think doing that more and more. Eventually, there's a lot to say, but long story, I asked my boss, like, can you let me do open source as part of my job? Because it's like we use this tool,
Hmm.
Babel, at work. So it's like it almost felt weird to me, like we're like waiting or asking or thinking about features. I'm like, why am I doing this like on my free time? It's like weird. Like just like we're literally gonna use it. I'm probably gonna be the one to like implement that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't I just do it like for
Yeah.
the job? And I remember that moment. I was so afraid to like ask because I never asked for anything like that before. But I finally had the courage to do that. And my boss, Sean, he's just like a really nice dude and really into open source. Um, and then he ended up going to GitHub himself. So it's like,
Hmm.
it's a lot of these things are just, there's like individuals that really help you out like
Yeah.
through online path, and not just like because you know the policy or whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's how I got involved more, and basically that led to me realizing later, oh, these two things are very similar. So working in open source software and then like say volunteering at a like community garden or shelter or
Mm,
church. And that eventually led me to like think about like the podcast, stuff like that. Yeah.
mm. Nice, nice. And so you eventually did leave Adobe and pursued becoming a maintainer. That's what they're called,
Hmm.
right? Of code for this open source project, Babel, which hundreds, thousands of companies use around the world. It's a huge project. What was it like transitioning from a traditional corporate job to full time open source? Essentially, I guess call it freelancing, or
Yeah.
you doing your own thing, trying to you know monetize, make money, make a living from it. What was that like? What was the hardest thing?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, you already left your job, so in a way, we had a lot
Yeah.
of discussions about that. It's different because whatever you're doing, it's probably going to be unique to your situation. Like everyone has different background or financially or just support system or like what your actual goal is. So like, if it's making a startup, like I didn't really consider doing open source full time as a startup. In a way, it's not really a business model at all. At least
Mm,
the way I wanted to do it, which was just volunteering to work on a project that everyone uses and then not expecting but hoping, I guess, that people would donate. We could make a SaaS company where you sell like services, and
mm,
lot of open source companies do that. I just didn't want to go that route. And
mm,
so I just said I'm going to take a leap of faith and just pray that like people will want to give back, because
right.
I think this thing is important. I'm also willing to commit, you could say sacrifice my what's it called, opportunity cost of working at a Google, Adobe, whatever. Basically, it's like I don't care about making X amount of money because I think this thing is important and it gives me meaning. So I was willing to do it anyway. And um, you could say the freedom of being able to do that was appealing to me as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then maybe I would just do it anyway. That's another thing. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know. There's no guarantee anything will work out, but I might as well give it a shot. I might as well do it when I'm early in life.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot. I mean, you can spend all day trying to like calculate all these things, but in the end, nothing will give you like 100% like this is gonna work out. So
Yeah.
like in the end, it really is a leap of faith. And you just have to, and that's just one moment. Like when you make the decision, that's great, but then every day after, you still have to
Yeah.
do
There's
that.
like the
You know,
realities of
yeah, yeah.
being your own boss and like making a daily living or monthly, salary, whatever you want
I
to
think
call
I
it.
think the question I was thinking at the time is just like, what is enough? I think
Mm,
that's like an important question for anyone to be thinking about, because you can
yeah.
always pursue more and more money. Um, and depending on your situation, you could. I mean, and also this is volunteer. I can go
Yeah.
back at any point. I can get another job. At least I'm in the position to be able to do that. So it's like if I can't even see myself doing it, then who could do it? It's like you should be willing to take a risk if you have the safety net or what you want to call it.
Yeah.
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 Um, and kind of just to sort of finish off this background section, after working on Babel for a number of years, you put your heart and soul into it for a while, and made it into, I would argue, probably, you know better product, more
Mhm.
features and stuff like that. You did eventually kind of pass that role on and start working on your own things, and that's kind of where you are at now.
Mhm.
I of course, being your roommate, know about these things, but could you just share with us, like, where what is Henry working on now? I know it's like a number of different things, your own uh apps, projects, podcasts, and it's all fueled by your personal interests and
Mhm.
of course your faith. So could you tell us, what is Henry Zoo working on now? Kind of just
Yeah.
bring us to this point.
I mean, I don't know if there's there's no like I don't have like this systematic way of thinking about it. I think it's just wanting to be willing to think that like if something is interesting or I'm curious about something, then I should at least look into it.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is like trusting like my intuition more.
Hmm.
And it's only recently I would say I don't know if I want to label myself like, oh, I'm an artist, but it's like I want to think more like an artist, if that makes sense. Whereas before I
I
would have
like
been
that.
like, I'm an engineer. So I just implement things.
Mm.
Um but so it's just when you see things in the world and you want to express yourself or um go down a certain route, then one way of creating is by making something. And
Yeah.
that's not that different with programming. It's not that different. Even though most people think like, oh, it's an app. Why would an app have anything to do with art?
Yeah.
Or like that frame of mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that is the kind of way I'm looking at it. And so the question, my first question is not how is this going to make money?
Mm.
Right? The question is this interesting to me at least,
Yeah.
and then maybe to other people, but actually that shouldn't even matter that much either,
Mm.
because it's about yeah, just trying to see what's happening right now,
Hmm.
right? And then or just like in the world and just trying to figure out, can I make something out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess I didn't get into any specifics there, but
No, that's fine. I mean, I guess to say like what you're working on now is like things that you you kind of just intuitively feel like, okay, this is what I want to, you know, just pivot to right away. This is what I'm seeing in
hmm
the world that I don't know, maybe there's a need or like you just want to create it. And
hmm
so you're trying to you're approaching things that way, which I've seen, you just every few months I'm like, "Oh, Henry's working on this new creative thing,
yeah.
new creative project." This being one of them, which we will get into later, this QR printer. Guess I'll call it that.
It's not even like, yeah, whether it's practical or not. Actually, that's
Yeah.
like I mean that's it's great if it is. It's more like I don't want that to limit the idea, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that's how I would see it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great kind of background intro to you, Henry. And then now that we've kind of talked about where you're at now, I feel like from what I'm hearing, a lot of what you're doing is driven by your faith and your philosophy. So I kind of want to just take this time in this next section to kind of peel back some of the layers and talk
Mhm.
about your faith and your values and principles that yeah really fuel your work. So could you tell us like how does your faith intersect with your work and open source and programming?
Yeah. When we talk about faith, it's easy to compartmentalize, meaning like, oh, it's like faith is like, I don't know, on Sunday or at church, and then like every other part of your life. Or maybe you feel that it shouldn't be related. And I think that I want to pursue integration, like the idea that like these are all parts of who you are,
Mhm.
and it makes who you are, and it doesn't. Um, we don't need to separate that, or at least I don't even want to, even if it's good or bad or whatever it is. So I I don't know, it makes life more meaningful. And sometimes I think what happened with the open source and church thing, it was more like it just naturally happened. I wasn't even like thinking about it. I think you could just say like that was just revelation from God. It's like woke up one day and I was like, wait, oh, I've been doing serving in church and I've been quote unquote serving in open source. And I'm like, it's not that different. There's a lot of parallels
Mhm.
in that. And I think a lot of people, when they think about faith and work, they think like, oh, the work itself, like if you do it really well, then maybe that's like honoring to God. And it is, like doing good work, being a good worker, that kind of thing. And then people might see that and be like, oh, why do you care about this? It's like, oh, I think work is valuable. I think work is like inherently good. And so that's why I pursue that. But I also think like the kind of work you do matters too. And
Mm.
so what I mean by that is like in tech, there's a lot of ways to think about technology, like making a startup or making a social media app, like stuff like that. That's like, what do we picture when we think of working in tech?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I want to picture something else. Um, because I think that that fits more with, like, I don't know, a heavenly way of thinking about things.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's why I mean, like, they're intimately tied together in a way. Um, yeah.
Hmm. And you kind of touched upon it, so I maybe just to be more
Mhm.
detailed or explicit, like what are some of those parallels you see between open source collaboration and like a Christian community?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like you're in both.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And you might at first glance, it's like, why is this related? One's about like writing code, and the other one is about like a church community.
yeah.
It's mostly because I don't really think of open source about code like per se. Obviously, that's there. That's,
Mm,
you could say it's like the base or the foundation, or that's like it's a core part. But um, to me, and everyone can have their own opinion or thoughts, is open source is more of a philosophy, just like a church community is kind of a philosophy around how to live together as the body of Christ.
mm,
And so open source, as opposed to like closed source or open source in terms of collaboration, like that's why sometimes I'll say open source is like Wikipedia. um, it doesn't mean that it's just because it's free and you can go there and you get answers. Wikipedia itself also includes the editors and the community of people that literally contribute
mm,
to Wikipedia, both reading it and writing it. So you could say the same about code. Is like, people use open source code. You're still a part of the community,
yeah.
but another way to participate is to like actually contribute back. And this is the same. You could say problem in church is like, people come to church and they show up,
Mm,
but they don't necessarily like quote unquote give back. And again, you don't have to. The whole point is that it's volunteer. It's just that if you value the
yeah.
community, like, and you will get more out of it, right? And this, if you
Yeah. Yeah.
or take part of it. Yeah.
For sure. I
So,
mean, like every church I've been a part of, you've been a part of, we've been a part of, like it's there's so many ways to get involved. There's so many ministries, right? And the idea is to, we're always encouraged to use our gifts
yeah.
to serve the church in some way. And yeah, it is a volunteer thing, right?
Yep.
Um, but I think it is a good way to, I see the parallels that you're
Hmm.
making with that. Um, you kind of touched upon some of the things you see in tech, and I know you go to a lot of tech conferences, tech meetups, talks, things like that. And you interact with a lot of people in the industry.
Mm.
I'm curious, have you ever faced any tensions between your beliefs and the broader tech community, or do you see general incompatibilities between them?
Um, I mean, I guess you could say there are incompatibilities, but there's different cultures. Like,
Yeah.
tech is not like a monolith, just like Christianity is not a monolith. So I would say, you can it's like you can find your people in anywhere you are. Um, and I guess I don't want to think of it in terms of like being competitive. I think it's just trying to understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't really know where they're coming from. It's like, I like to think that it's hard for us to get out of the default mindset on like how to think about something. So like, like, oh, I should work at Google and then get a job there. Like, why is that the default?
Mm.
And so it doesn't mean that's a bad thing to do. It's just that sometimes it's good to challenge that.
Yeah.
And so if I have a different framework of how to see things, then yeah, it might challenge it. But I don't really see it that way. I think of it as more of a conversation, like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
you can disagree, but I like seeing conversation as more of a, like, the dance. It's like a back and
Right.
forth. Just like war can be a back and forth, but we don't have to use that metaphor
Right.
when we talk to people. And so I haven't really had too much issue with bringing it up, because I'm not trying to like make anyone believe anything, or at least
Mm.
that's not my like mindset. It's like, oh, you got to do this. Like, it's just, I be- like, I'm naturally trying to think this way, and it just comes up. And so it shouldn't um come across I'm trying to, like, I have an agenda, I guess.
Yeah.
I just want to like get to know people. Like I said, open source to me is about the community, which means it's about individual relationships, which friendships between people. Of course, it's about code, but ultimately it's about people, just like the church is about people. Like, there's a whole thing we can talk about like whether we need to measure like how much attendance there are to church, or like whether people are growing, all these things. The way you measured it, which you can't really measure in a different way, is the intimacy you have between people. And of course, open source is not going to be like that in that sense. No one's like sharing all their vulnerable things, but I think you can make open source a lot more meaningful or fun, or friendly, if we intentionally try to incorporate that into what we're doing. Because it's easy to just be like, make it very transactional, like, oh, I have a bug, fix it. Okay, fine, I'll fix it. And like, or just get mad. You get guilt. You feel like ashamed or guilty that I didn't fix all these bugs. Why do I even feel like I have to do that? But coming from a place of empathy for the other person, and hopefully that would lead to reciprocation, right? Which is harder online because it's not in person.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mean to make it sound like it's a us versus them type thing. Incompatibility was probably not quite the right word, but it was more like, and there's obviously people who are in both, like Christians and working in tech. There's plenty of people, it was more like, sometimes tech gets this rap of being, the stigma of like, oh, it's just to make money, it's just to like use people as a people as a product ultimately. And then there's those stereotypes of like drug fueled parties and things like that, all that stuff that I just hear about, really.
I see.
So it's like, I don't want to stereotype that it's everyone in tech, but I was just curious, you've been in some of those situations, so that's why I was like, oh, how do you reconcile that, or how do you represent yourself as a Christian while being in those spaces, which
I see.
You've kind of talked about.
I'm not that explicit about it.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. There's a little quote here. I think you mentioned it in an essay that you wrote, that you quote 1 Corinthians, though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all. And I feel like that is something that you sort of look towards or use in your driving force for your work. How does that verse shape your work, your service, whether in open source contribution or just coding in general?
I think what you said, like making yourself a servant to all, you said the word service, so it's like maybe servant and service. That's how we think about it, not servant as a different way of thinking about servant. I think people bring up stuff like servant leadership, stuff like that. Is like, I think the way we lead, or the way I want to lead, is the way Jesus led, to serve others. That, there's another verse that kind of like paraphrasing that God, even though Jesus is God, he chose to, lower himself, to become like us. Though, maybe we don't deserve it, all these things. So and then the idea of like washing the disciples' feet, or it's like stuff like that. And so I think, I don't have to literally do that, but metaphorically, what does it mean to be a living sacrifice for other people, which is seeing others as more important than you. And I think that when you can genuinely do that and it touches someone's heart, then I think that it would help them to reciprocate and, create a better environment. And so that is definitely the way I think about why I would do open source. Because the question is like, you don't get anything out of this. It's true. You get some stuff out of it, but you lose a lot. And I think that's okay.
Sacrifice a lot.
And I think that is kind of the opposite of how a lot of, it doesn't have to be tech, just like things in general. It's like exploiting people, which is you get benefit and then people lose. Then there's like fairness, which is we get the same, or we both lose the same. And then sacrificial is like I lose more than I gain. And that's okay, because I think you could say I think it's worth it. I think that's the way I want to live my life. It's not because I think something good is going to happen because of it, because it might not. I mean, a lot of times you serve and you help people, does not
guarantee.
work out. But it shouldn't make
Yeah.
me not want to do that
Mm,
just because the outcome doesn't work out. I mean, that's faith.
yeah.
It's not guaranteed. And you can't say like just because I did something good, like all these good things are gonna
Right.
happen. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is some. That is some deep mic drop quotes. Um, yeah, that's awesome. Let me steer the conversation kind of into a little bit more, call it the lack of a better word, like techie stuff. Like some of the,
Mm,
I think it'd be exciting to talk about some things you're working on. You mentioned, or you told me about this app that you're working on called Footnote,
mm,
and you know, I don't know too much about it, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, please describe, one, what it is, and what are some of the principles and philosophies behind it. Because it is a
mm,
very unique app, um, and its purpose is very unique, I
mm,
think. Especially when you had this idea of a potluck, or
mm,
the things that make a potluck good,
mm,
right? Like bringing people together, like sort of a home cooked in atmosphere.
mm.
Um, all these things are somewhat embedded in this Footnote app that you're working on, but
Yeah.
you could probably better articulate how. So
No,
please tell
yeah,
us
I think
about it. Yeah.
that's good. I know I was inspired by an essay from Robin Sloan, home cooked apps, like how to the idea that an app can be a home cooked meal. Like kind of like what I said before, an app can be art.
Okay.
An
Yeah.
app can be a an act of love, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? I
As
actually
someone who cooks
I mean,
a lot.
you've cooked for me, so that's love
Yeah.
right there. I think about like Wordle, like, and obviously later he like sold it for like whatever millions of
Like
dollars, but he
15
initially
million or something. I don't remember.
initially
Yeah.
it was for, I think it was for his girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
It's like because she liked playing these games, and so meaning like the impetus to do something is out
Yeah.
of love. It's not out of like other reasons, basically. And I think
Mhm.
that's awesome. It does. Why is that only for food, right? It could be for anything, and so it's helpful because I think it shifted a lot of people's minds about how to think about creating things in tech. Not that that's never
Mhm.
been thought of before, but it was a cool story because Robin is not, he wouldn't consider himself a programmer. He's a writer, but he
Mhm.
like knows how to code. So
Mhm.
and so what I kind of just like am riffing off of that is like, I think you can make an app for the whole world, like a
Mhm.
Facebook, a billion people, and you can make an app for one person, like the Wordle thing. And so I'm just looking at in
Mhm.
between. I can make an app for my friends, and so that's where I like the metaphor of the potluck. We all come together. I mean, you could take it a little bit further, where it's like we all contribute to the same app, like we're all coding together. But I just meant like making an app that's only for your friends. Like we're the
Yeah.
only ones that can use it. So
I love that you clearly explained it more in that way. Because then it's like throwing a dinner party for
hmm
your friends.
hmm
You're cooking. They're not contributing necessarily. You're cooking. You're hosting, and you just want to bring people together
yeah,
and allow them to enjoy it.
yeah,
And so
right.
it seems like that is kind of more at the heart of this
Yeah, I
app and what
think
you're.
even like, yeah, I like you're saying about bringing people together. It's like the presence, like all that they need to contribute is themselves, like their presence.
Mm.
There's no likes, there's no, like you can't share outside. I mean, obviously you could do it if you wanted to. So the idea is like, and there's a lot of these apps where it's only for your friends too. Like even if you could say even like a Be Real is like technically only for your friends, and
Yeah,
you can make it
that's
public.
true. Yeah.
But I think it's even more than that because I think another word I'm thinking of is intimacy.
Okay. Yeah.
That implies like a very deep connection with someone,
Mm.
and usually it's one on one actually.
Yeah.
So the app, because I keep foreshadowing it. It's a simple idea, and in a way, sometimes I think the idea is better than the app. It's like because again, because it's for the friends or my friends, if no one, like people that hear this never gonna use it, then it's like what benefit do they have? But I almost think what I'm trying to get across is the idea of making apps for your friends is more important than the app, if that
Uh,
makes sense. Like I want to
mm.
express that through building it. That's the embodiment. But like ultimately, if it inspires someone else
Yeah.
to make an app for them, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
So that can scale, not
Yeah.
the app itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say it's like it's very the Meta. It's like a
Yeah, like a
way of thinking,
meta.
not the company, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, meta idea. Yeah,
meta idea.
yeah. So it's a simple idea. It's basically you leave
Yeah.
notes for your friends. Right now I'm using voice notes, so you have to record with your microphone. And when you do that, it saves your current location, your GPS essentially. And that means you're tying a note, a tweet, or whatever, a comment to a place,
Okay.
and you send it directly to someone else. And the catch is basically that they don't receive it until they literally go there physically.
Okay.
And so most of the time on any social media app, you have to like you can just be at home, you're like on your bed, you're like scrolling, right? You get a notification. This one, you only get a notification if you literally go there.
Oh.
And so that sounds horrible because now you have to like, go. But that's the whole point.
I mean, not necessarily horrible if you are, you want to be adventurous,
Mhm.
you're wandering around, you're exploring. So you could either be the person who discovers, or you could be the person who leaves something
Yes,
for someone else.
both.
Um, yeah, I see. That's kind of cool. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you describe it as a digital sticky note,
Yeah.
right? And so the idea is you're leaving behind something for someone else. And it's like a record of time in a way.
Time capsule,
Time capsule.
kind of,
Okay.
yeah. You can say that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, footnote. The idea is you have to walk there, so it's like and also footnote
yeah.
obviously in a
I
in
remember
a
the
essay.
conversation about coming with the
Yeah, the name. Yeah. There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what the name is. It's just something fun. But I think what I wanted was the other word I was thinking was serendipity.
Mhm.
Something surprising that's good. I think one issue that we have, I guess in life or because of social media is like we do have like randomness in the feed and like things that like surprise us, but not in a I would say intimacy plus serendipity. So what I mean by that is like if I leave a note for you in a place that you don't know about, but then you happen to go there, that's a lot more meaningful than just like
Yeah.
because you happen to stumble upon it.
Yeah.
And again, it's not from a random person, it's not an AI. It's like literally from me, right?
Yeah.
And so and then another thing is that you cannot this is part of letting go too, like faith. What if you never go there? The whatever thing.
Oh.
That's kind of like point too. So I think, but I also because they're friends, it's like I know where you go, like just generally speaking, like I know, like maybe you go to Whole Foods or you go to
Yeah.
Central Park or whatever. So like you kind of have a vague idea where people are, so you can determine like okay, I'll put it somewhere really far because it'll be really funny if they find it, or
Yeah.
like oh I know they're good there all the time, and it'll be nice to just maybe you're not feeling good that day, and then you just get a note like hey hope you're doing well, like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like an app that really is to build connection more than anything,
Hmm.
build intimacy, build in a little bit of adventure, serendipity, as you said. And it's not meant to be like instant. It's not meant
Right.
to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
like, bombardment of some sort, like with notifications and stuff. Um, which is very interesting in our society, in our digital world, that where we're obsessed with like speed and efficiency and like
Yeah.
just getting like notifications right away. Um, yeah, what does it mean to you to create that kind of experience that values patience and presence over instant gratification, over um, you know, immediacy?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of said it before. It's like the app embodies values, and so in a way, everything we make embodies the values of the creator. Even if they don't know it, it could be implicit, meaning they didn't intentionally put it in there. But I want to intentionally put in something different because my default is also doing what everyone else does, and so
Mm,
that made me think the opposite, or that's not the opposite, but just a different way of like, okay, if I'm always expecting things, everything's instant. What if I made an app where you have to wait? And there are apps where I think there's like kind of like you can send virtual mail and it shows up like 3 days later, or you can like delay it. But I
yeah.
was like, wait, I can take it even more extreme. It's like, what if they might not ever get it ever? That's even more interesting
Mhm.
because it's not just that it's like 7 days later. It's like, no, it might be forever, or maybe it's like 10 years.
Yeah.
But in a funny way, if they actually find it in 10 years, that'll be really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if the app would last 10 years long, but like I think
If anything, it will last 10 years long. But yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's fair. In that case, it's a true time capsule, like a digital modern time capsule. Yeah, very cool. And so, in terms of a little bit more on the, I guess, logistics side of it, like, do you want this app to be, you're still working on it, and where do you feel it's at now? Do you think it'll be launched soon? Do you want it to be out in the world? Do you want to put it in the app store, or do you want it to be more, like you said, organic and just like among friends? You're just gonna like tell release it to a limited group of
Yeah.
people?
I mean, it already works, so it's just I have to decide how I want to release it. So it's like
Okay.
everything works fine. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know what I wanted to do with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And yeah, like you said, that's okay.
Because you said your purpose wasn't to like make money off of
Mhm.
it. It's not to like reach like a huge user base and get like a lot of users on it. It's an app for your own passion
Mhm.
project and for specific.
I mean, it would be great if people like a lot of people wanted it. And I'm sure if someone likes the idea, they can make a different version where it does scale to like, or maybe Facebook copies the idea and then whatever.
Yeah.
But the funny part is that even if they copy it, in a way they won't ever do the idea that I'm doing because it wouldn't really make sense for them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
how do you make money? You got to add ads into it and like
Right.
stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah. For them, it doesn't make
Yeah.
financial sense.
It would have
It's
to
like-
turn more into a game,
Right.
essentially.
But for you, it's like you're not bound by that,
Mhm.
right? Like you get to make it with complete unrestricted freedom.
Yeah.
And take it how you want it. Nice. Well, that's really exciting. Hopefully, some lucky people will get to, be a user of this app. Footnote. I want to talk about another thing you do to connect with people, and build community, I guess, in a way. One thing you do is podcasting, which like, here we are.
That's what we're doing.
Thanks for being on my video podcast. This is it's pretty cool to have this, like, because you've been working on podcasts for a number of years. As I mentioned before, you originally had two, Open Source and Maintainers Anonymous, and they're kind of merged together now. What is your, well, tell me about your podcast. Like, what inspired you to start it? What do you hope listeners get out of it?
Yeah, I referenced it a bit. When I left my job, it gave me more mental space to think about something different.
Yeah.
And I met Nadia, who's my co-host for the initial, like, I guess, what do you want to call it, season of it. She worked at GitHub, and so she noticed a lot of people in open source that were spiritual. And I mean, her job was essentially to research open source and like why do people do it? What are the issues? How do we help people in it? Like, and as GitHub itself, right, the company that tries to do with all that. And so she even wrote a book later called Working in Public, and just talking about what does it mean to like to basically be a content creator, essentially, but within coding, and how that actually, if you extrapolate that out, you can learn a lot about content creation in general. Even though it's about code. That's why, in a way, it doesn't matter if it's about code or making videos or podcasts. They're all kind of the same thing. So she just suggested it, basically. We were just talking a lot, and then at one point she's like, oh, I noticed all these like people in tech are spiritual, and then I bring it up naturally, and she's like, oh, why don't we just record something? It was just out of the blue. I was like, oh, okay, sure. I never really, at that time, that was like right after I quit. I was like kind of thinking about it too.
Oh, okay.
And then we kind of just explored it together. So that was a fun time of like, we also didn't tell anyone that we were doing it. So maybe that was helpful. Was like, I'm a little bit scared to tell people that I'm thinking about these things or I'm spiritual. And then she might not want to like imply that she's religious when she's not, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So he kind of like did everything and released it and tweeted it, whatever. And then yeah, we had like some people reach out and they think that was like really interesting to
Yeah.
hear. So it was good, and I just continued on my own basically after
Okay.
that. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So you continued, doing the podcast, whenever it's not like your main thing, and it's like
No.
it's not like you're not putting your all into it. It's sort of like a side project, um, which is great. It like takes away a lot of the pressure and things like
Yes.
that. Um, how, do you- but you do still put effort into it. So like, I'm curious, like, what is your process? Like how do you pick people that you want to talk to? Like, what drives your? Is it like just curiosity? Is it like someone you just meet randomly? Do you reach out to people? Are there topics that you want to cover? Just kind of walk us a little bit through.
Yeah.
I know it's not like super structured for you, but I'm
Yeah.
just curious. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot there. That's changed a lot over time. When I initially did, like I didn't. Well, I wasn't even gonna continue. It was just like, hey, we do the like 10 episodes and we're done. But then later I was like, oh, I still want to explore this.
mhm.
So part of it was like I just need an excuse to talk to people. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you feel this way too. It's like instead of like, oh, do you want, especially if it's someone I don't know, it's easier to just be like, hey, do you want to like join the podcast and
Mm.
talk as a essentially excuse to talk to someone.
Okay.
So that you have like some kind of standard thing.
Yeah.
So I did that with people like professors or like random people. I literally just emailed them. I don't know them. I have no connection to them.
Oh,
Um,
that's bold.
yeah. I mean, I think
love
that's
it.
what people do. And so it's like having a platform. I mean, some people, they don't want to do it. Then I'll just be like, okay, we can just talk. So my thing is like the most complete casual way of doing a podcast, which maybe is kind of like the four guys do a podcast kind of thing. But
Mm.
I guess I don't frame it that way, but maybe it's kind of like that is like, I don't usually like prep all these questions. I mean, obviously I'll be thinking about it, but it's just I also don't want to like the guests are always like, oh, do I need to like what do I need to be thinking about? Do I need to read all this? I just
Yeah.
like just come as you are because I
Come.
just want to have a conversation. I can use the phrase like off the cuff,
Yeah.
and basically it's just I don't want it to be like formal
Yeah,
and just like just see where it goes. Obviously we start somewhere and then who knows where
Yeah.
go on tangent and it's fine. And again, I can always just like most podcasts, you can delete or edit or whatever it is, or just like you don't like it at the end. That's the thing. It's like if it was my job and then it's like, oh, we gotta post it.
Yeah.
But if they don't want to post it, then I'm like, okay, then we had a good conversation and it's fine. So that's kind of like the attitude that I have towards it. And again, a lot of like I have a lot of recorded things I didn't even post from like years ago.
Yeah.
So I have to go back and backlog and like
Yeah. Oh, I know what
upload
it's like
this.
to have a backlog
Yeah.
of content and media, and you eventually there's stuff you do want to get to, but there's some you're like, I probably could let that go, but it does take effort and time to like just sift through it.
Yeah.
But overall, I love that approach that you do, and it's approach that I think you do for a lot of things, which I think is great because you take a lot of pressure away, and you make things fun. You're just like lighthearted, fun, and I think this project right here is
Yeah.
actually a good example of like you're just doing it for fun. You're doing it for curiosity. You're doing it for personal satisfaction.
Mhm.
This was something I wanted to do a little demo of that you did for like a just passion side project. So it is well, why don't you explain it? What is this?
The device, yeah, it's just a receipt printer, like literally what you would get when you buy stuff at a restaurant or whatever.
Okay, so it prints the receipts like ink
And
on paper.
it is worth mentioning the background is like I have a friend Josh that talked about this, and then I was like, oh, I want to get one, and there was a hackathon, which was just like 1 hour basically.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what can I do if I have this thing? I didn't even turn it on yet. I don't even know if it works. So I was like, okay, I'll just make a website that lets you print to it directly.
Mhm.
And so what it is just kind of like a fax machine essentially. It's like I made a website. You can put in your name and a message and then a picture if you want, and then it'll just print directly to it. So you can use your phone or laptop and it'll just print out stuff.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But it's like that simple idea can lead to a lot of other things. And initially, I didn't even know if it was going to be interesting or fun. It was kind of like that 1 hour, people started printing stuff out, and that led to me like spending the next like few months kind of tweaking it and making it better, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know upfront if it's going to be a good idea. If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Gotcha. So let's
You can try it. Yeah.
so you gave us a background. Let's demo it real quick.
Yeah. So
one of
it's
your-
just I can give you a QR code by printing it out.
Okay.
And obviously they don't need to see the PR, but this is just so you
Yeah.
can go to the website.
I
Yeah.
wonder if I can get this. Let me see if I can get. Let me
Mhm.
reposition the shot a little bit, actually.
Oh, you want to be able to see it? Yeah.
Okay, uh,
So like literally,
this printer's connected to the internet.
yeah.
Yep.
So I can literally just type a message, press print. So I'm gonna type like "Hi Garland." I can just press print, and right when I press the button, it prints. So it's like the other thing is
So-
that it's very fast. Yeah, it's very fast.
Instantaneous. Almost. Okay, so I have this QR code. I scan it, right? So I have this a link pops up. And then, okay, it brings me to this website, Chat Henry Zoo.
Mhm.
And then it's a short little menu. And I just say, "What's up?" So, and then I press print. Okay, so there's a photo that I can attach.
Mhm.
And it prints, so it prints text and photos.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a photo of us right now.
Oh, okay.
All right, on this set, doing the podcast on The Pursuit. All right, took this selfie.
Mm-hmm.
And now I go back to the website. Let's see if I can find it. And I say, "Hi, Henry. Welcome to The Pursuit." And then I attach photo. Let's see if I can do this correctly. And then I press print. So I'm going to press this button, and it's going to be.
Pretty much.
That's insane.
Pretty much.
So I'm
instant.
connected to Wi-Fi, and it just.
Yeah.
And there we have it. We have a little black and white photo from this printer. And that, I don't know, I'm just amazed by the speed, the simplicity, like it's so satisfying to use.
Yeah.
Like the feedback is immediate. And you've brought this out at some events and things like that we've done. And everyone, it's like a party hit.
It's
fun.
like a cheap Polaroid, right?
Cheap
Yeah.
Polaroid. That is the best way to put it. So that is awesome. Yeah, so these are one of the many things that you work on, and it's just like fun, curious.
I mean, and even like this could connect to other things.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what if I made, instead of a comment section on my website, it just prints to my printer instead. So it's like there's all these like combinations of things.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, awesome example. That's like a fun kind of note to end on. I just have one last question for you as we kind of wrap up this interview. Sort of like I always like to do a section where I can kind of give something to the audience, whether it's like insight or advice or something. So we've talked about open source. We've talked about your faith and philosophy, what drives you. My question for you is, your work is deeply rooted in community, hospitality, human connection. If someone is listening to this feels inspired to explore these ideas and contribute in some way, where would you encourage them to start?
I guess I would say it's the short way to put it is kind of like finding whatever open source is in your industry. So it's like it doesn't mean like it will be exactly the same, but it's kind of like for me, open source was this intersection that was so obvious, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it. I was in the industry for a long time, so I'm like, maybe there is something like that within what you're doing, like what you're a part of.
Yeah.
And then also, I think, I mean, I don't know, I look to the Bible for a lot of inspiration. So like various stories, like for me, that verse we said earlier in Corinthians, but also like the Good Samaritan story, is like, it feels very important in terms of like what I made with footnote or whatever. It's just like the idea that, you know, anyone could be the person lying in the ditch that needs
Yeah.
help. You could also be the person that needs help too. And that person could be a friend, it could be a stranger, it could be an enemy. And the idea that like friendship isn't, it's not a category where you already know ahead of time who will be your friend. The idea is that like I like this idea of like you literally turn the corner and then that person could be there, you know? And so that's going back to surprise. So I think be willing to be surprised. Yeah.
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 Awesome. That is a great piece of advice. Great, I don't know, inspiring word, I would say. Yeah, thanks so much, Henry, for coming
thanks.
onto the show and spending the last hour with us. Yeah, where can people find you, or like where people follow you?
Yeah.
Have some social media presence.
Yeah,
but
probably just the
your
the
website, maybe.
Yeah. Just the website, henryzoo.com.
Okay.
But ZOO.
ZOO, like a like an animal zoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, love it. All right. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys. That was another episode of The Pursuit. My name is Garland Queck. I'm your host. My guest Henry today. Awesome conversation, Henry. And you know, I'll see you upstairs or something. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys like this content and want to see more creatives, more entrepreneurs, business leaders, you know, people in tech, people in faith, talk about their journey and their stories, please tune in and subscribe and like this video. So I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks. Cool. Nice.